Hey everyone, this is Sextus, and welcome back to Let's Play 999. When we last left off, yeah, we were talking to Zero, and he's like, check your pockets for something. You might notice that I have the big logo on the screen again. That's because, last time I used Hypercam, but, the files are way too large in Hypercam to, put on. I actually did like an hour's worth of stuff after this and recorded it, but it was too large for YouTube to upload. So this time I'm just using my screen again. So yeah, it's not that much of a problem, I don't think. Anyway, Silver reached into his pocket and pulled out a slip of paper. The rest of them reached into their own pockets and pulled out similar slips of paper. Junpei followed suit and dug into the pocket of his pants. He felt the telltale crumpled paper, slightly damp from his earlier ordeal. Hey, I got one too! Then it would seem Zero has seen fit to grace us each with a letter. Would you mind terribly reading it to us, young man? His request had been delivered to Junpei, who, after a short moment of surprise, did as he'd been asked. On the ship, you will find a handful of doors emblazoned with numbers. We will call them the numbered doors. The doors in front of you are a pair of the same. The key to opening these numbered doors are the numbered bracelets that each of you possess. Should you total the numbers on your numbered bracelets and find that the digital root of that number is equal to the number of the door will open. Only those who have opened the door may pass through. There are, however, limits. Only 3 to 5 people can pass through one numbered door. All those who must enter must leave, and all who enter must contribute. Bracelet, Junpei figured, had to mean the bulky thing on his wrist. He glanced at it. It looked like everyone else had as well, and had come to much the same conclusion. The purpose of the game is simple. Leave this ship alive. It is hidden, but an exit can be found. Seek a way out. Seek a door that carries a 9. Junpei had reached the end of the letter. There was a long moment of silence, and then the speaker crackled to life once more. There is one last thing I must tell you. As you have no doubt surmised, the ship has begun to sink. On April 14th, 1912, the famous ocean liner Titanic crashed into an iceberg. After remaining afloat for 2 hours and 40 minutes, it sank beneath the waters of the North Atlantic. I will give you more time. 9 hours. That is the time you will be given to make your escape. The voice finished, and the speaker went silent. The sound of a bell tolling echoed through the hall. It came from the dance hall adjacent to the stairwell. It took those assembled on the stairs mere moments to trace the sound to an antique clock embedded in the wall. 7, 8, 9. 9 bells. Ha ha ha. Sorry, the sound of the 9th bell faded away. The 10th never came. That meant the time was 9 o'clock. Most likely 9 o'clock in the evening. When Junpei had peered out the window of his cell, he'd seen nothing but blackness. It had been nighttime. If that was the case, then they would need to escape by 6 a.m. the following day. Now it is time. Let our game begin. I wish you all best of luck. The speaker went silent and did not speak again. Silver yelled at the speaker with a language coarse enough to embarrass a sailor, but the rest of Junpei's companions were silent, deep in thought. Junpei, too, was consumed by his thoughts. There was a great deal he didn't understand. Who was Zero? What was the Nonary game? Why had he chosen to make them a part of it? Was he a criminal who took delight in playing with his victims, or did he have some other purpose? And why had Junpei been chosen as part of this insane game? Why had any of them been chosen? But one question was foremost on his mind. Akane. They hadn't seen one another since elementary school. Why had she appeared now? Coincidence? No, that seemed impossible. There had to be a reason. He didn't know what it might be, but there had to be a reason. Very well. The lion's voice seemed oddly loud in the silence. Standing around here won't do us any good. Best we get moving, don't you think? Get moving?
Are you planning to open the numbered doors? Hey, wait! Don't tell me you're actually gonna do this! This Zero says?
No, that's not what I mean. The lion shook his head, mildly annoyed. I'm saying, let's find another way. After all, we hadn't really examined this place yet.
What?
Ellipses. Ellipses again. Their separate investigations finished, all 9 people returned to where they left one another. The result of all their work was nothing. They were completely sealed in. Their hard work had not gone completely to waste, however. They had learned a number of things as they secured the parts of the ship they could reach. It seemed that they were confined to decks A through C. C deck was as far down they could be able to go, however, the reason being that D deck was completely submerged. Strangely, however, the water had risen no higher than D deck. The flow seemed to have been stopped somehow, as evidenced by the surface of the water on D deck, which was as smooth as glass. The prince knelt down and gently drew his hand across it. Perhaps this Zero fellow has used some sort of remote control to seal a watertight door lower down. He said that our time limit was 9 hours. In other words, this water won't rise for 9 hours. Then you're saying we won't sink until then? Well, that may be a little too optimistic. No point to wishful thinking. There were 3 metal doors on C deck. A single door stood off to the side, with 2 more on the wall facing the central staircase. None of them had numbers or verification devices. They were, however, locked like other doors. No matter how much they pushed and shoved, the doors refused to move. The mountain and the lion threw themselves against them a few times, but no avail. Even with their powers combined, a mountain lion can't bust open a door. The door in the back had a keyhole. Just above it was a strange mark in the shape of a circle surrounding a dot. There were 2 other doors on the C deck as well, but it was clear that they were elevators, as each had a button next to it with an upside-down triangle. They tried pushing the button. No response. Apparently there was no power running into the elevators. To the left of the elevators was a card reader. The card reader also has a strange mark on it. It looked like a lowercase h with a dash drawn through the upper stem of the H. Junpei stared at it for a while.
This is the symbol of Saturn. It's an astrological symbol.
Then, the mark on the other door?
I think that was the sun symbol.
They had seen the same symbols on the A deck. There was a door on either side of the stairs. The one on the left had a keyhole with a similar symbol engraved on it.
This is the sniper symbol. I mean, the Earth symbol. The horizontal line symbolizes the equator, and the vertical one represents the prime meridian.
Junpei looked up at the ceiling. There was a great circle cut in it, perhaps for a skylight or a glass dome, but it had been filled with a gargantuan metal plate. The metal looked very solid. Anything short of an explosive charge was unlikely to damage it. Luckily, Junpei happened to bring many explosive charges on his person. There were several windows along both sides of the ship, or at least there had been. They too were covered with metal plates. In other words, we're trapped. All the exits go nowhere. Junpei was not happy. The girl with the pink hair spoke up.
Well, I'm sure they go somewhere. We just can't open them.
Then the mountain spoke. You don't know that. For all we know, they could just open into walls or take us in circles. The prince did not agree. No, I'm sure they go somewhere. Otherwise, what point would there be? And we can open them. Well, 2 of them at least. You mean the numbered doors? All eyes turned toward the doors with the numbers on them. The atmosphere in the room grew tense. Numbers make everyone suspicious.
Hey, wait a minute. I think I said this earlier, but I don't think we should do that.
The dancer moved in front of the others as to block them.
We'd have to be crazy to open these doors. If we did that, we're doing exactly what Zero wants us to do.
Suddenly, everyone began to speak at once. I agree. I don't. That's a terrible idea. We should keep going. We should stay here. We don't have any other way to open any of these doors. We should just wait. Someone's bound to come find us. We don't have time for that. In 8.5 hours, the ship is going to sink. The clamor of voices made it next to impossible to determine who was saying what. Their arguments grew more and more intense until people were shouting and screaming at one another. Junpei remained silent, but at last he could take no more.
Hey! Shut up!
They fell silent, and all eyes turned towards Junpei. He felt each stare burning into him, but he refused to flinch. Before we try and decide where we're going to, there's something else we ought to do. And I'll just pause it right here for a second. Continue.